There are two Taylors who are having the world in a chokehold at the moment. The first Taylor being Taylor Swift, but sadly this video is not going to be about her. And secondly, there is Taylor Jenkins Reid, the queen of booktube, the queen of book talk. Everyone's talking about her, and I've also already bought into the hype. I've already read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Daisy James and the Six, but for this video I read 3 other works of hers. I did a little Taylor Jenkins Readathon. I thought myself to be very smart for having come up with this pun, only to discover that other people had already had the same idea, which was kind of sad. But anyway, I did a Taylor Jenkins Readathon. I read 3 other Taylor Jenkins Reid books. Firstly, I read Malibu Rising, then Carrie Soto is Back, and finally one of her earlier works, Maybe in Another Life. And yeah, I vlogged my reading experience. And yeah, in the end of this video, I'm going to be rating and ranking all of the Taylor Jenkins Reid books I've read so far. And yeah, this video was very fun to film. I think Taylor Jenkins Reid has become one of my favorite authors, yeah. Okay, I'm on my way to find a reading spot to read Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I think I've got the perfect spot I'm at, because could there be any better place to read Malibu Rising than by the sea? So I can already say that I'm really enjoying Malibu Rising so far. It feels like I blinked and I already was halfway through this book, or already 3/4 through this book. What is Malibu Rising about? So basically, it centers around the 4 Reaver siblings, who are the children of the famous American singer Mick Reaver, and every year they throw this huge, crazy, wild party at their place at the end of summer. And you know, it goes like this: when you know where Nina Reaver, the elder sibling, lives, then you're invited to the party. So at this party you can literally find everyone, you know, from supermodels, Oscar-winning actresses, to directors, sports people, you know, everyone's there. This party is kind of the last word in Malibu, where this novel is set. So, you know, the sea plays a big role in this novel. There's a lot of surfing going on, a lot of surfing terms are included, which I don't really get, but I don't care because the summer vibes are there, which I love. And what I also find really cool is, you know, this novel was marketed at me as being about this big party, but so far it's been mainly about the 4 siblings, really, their backstory, how they grew up, about how their parents met, what it was like growing up as the children of this huge superstar. And so when the party finally starts in this novel, I feel like I've already established a connection with every one of the siblings, which is really cool, I think. And yeah, I like that it's sort of 2 different timelines. So you have this day of the party and you follow these characters as they prepare for the party and get an insight into you know, some of the troubles they are, you know, troubles they are in, or some of the problems they are facing. And then you've got the second timeline, which provides the backstory of these siblings. And in general, speaking of backstories, Taylor Jenkins Reid really provides a backstory for almost every character in this novel, even of some characters that don't really play that much of a role in the novel. I think this is really interesting to learn more about these characters. It provides more depth, I think, but sometimes it was also a bit random to me when you talked about like some random guests at the party, and I was like, okay, yeah, maybe it's interesting, but I don't really care at the moment, but maybe later it will make more sense, I don't know. And I already have to say, okay, the wind is very strong. She really has crafted and created her own universe, because I already heard of this, but now I can really see it for myself. Her novels are connected. I can already see that characters that appeared in Daisy Jones and the Six or The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo also appear in this novel, Malibu Rising. So yeah, I'm really excited how this novel is going to continue. I can sense that trouble and drama is just around the corner, so yeah, I'm intrigued. Can you see this there? The sun setting. This is so beautiful. By the way, just for the records, McReva, I don't want to say I hate him, because it's not good to hate people, but McReva makes me reconsider the sentiment, because I want to quote another character here. He's a piece of shit. So what is Carrie Soto is back about? Who is Carrie Soto? Carrie Soto is a tennis player who also appeared in Malibu Rising. And yeah, she was one of the world's best tennis players. She also set up a record. She was the woman who won the most Grand Slam titles, and now she is retired. But suddenly, there is a new tennis star, a new promising talent who threatens to take this record away from her. And of course, Carrie Soto is now having her comeback and trying to defend her record. But the thing is that Carrie Soto is already quite old. I think she's 37 when she's doing her comeback. So the question is, will she manage to defend her record, or will she embarrass herself completely? And I have to say, I don't know much about tennis, and I don't really care about tennis, so I don't know. Let's just say I couldn't care less about tennis, but this book, Carrie Soto's back, I don't know, it makes me sort of care about tennis. It seems like such an interesting sport suddenly. Yeah. So how did I like the book? I already said that for some reason this book made me care about tennis. There are a lot of tennis matches being described in the book, and some of them also quite in detail. But for some reason it seemed really exciting to me. And I mean, it makes sense that the book about a tennis star also focuses on her matches. Yeah, so I found this was the right choice to make this book about a tennis star also about tennis. I have to say I was a bit afraid in the beginning that this book might not really be centered around her comeback, because the first part of the book basically tells us about how she got so good at tennis, how she trained with her father, the first title she won. I was like, oh, okay, is this just like retelling her life story? But then quite quickly this kind of flashback part of the storyline was wrapped up, and then it really focused on the present, on her comeback. I liked Carrie as a character. Her father has got my heart. He is so lovely. I love him. And I was very angry at the media in this book, because they are being so misogynistic and slut-shaming her, and I don't know what this woman has to endure. And it's like, I don't know, the whole time this Taylor Swift song was in my mind, The Man, I think it fits perfectly. I'm just remembering, isn't there also a tennis scene in the music video? I think so. Yeah, so yeah, overall I have to say I really enjoyed this book. Sadly, I didn't get to film more clips of me reading Maybe in Another Life, because I don't know, I just flew through this book. I don't know, it was just so easy to read, and such a fun read that I got through it very quickly and didn't really manage to film much. So I'm just gonna quickly tell you what this book is about. Maybe in Another Life basically deals with the impact of the decisions we make in our daily life. It deals with fate. And so the situation is this: you have this main character called Hannah. She moves back to LA, moves in with her best friend, and one night she has to make a decision. Will she go home with her best friend, or will she go home with her old teenage crush / first boyfriend? And after this event, you kind of have two storylines. She had two options, And so you'll always have one chapter narrating the impact and the consequences if she chooses the first option, and then another chapter dealing with the consequences of the second option. So you kind of get to see how this decision impacts her life and how different her life is, depending on what she chose to do, or how similar it also maybe is. And you get to ask yourself, do our decisions really matter this much? Sometimes you feel like, oh, this version of her life is much better than the other life. And so it's really interesting to see how the story evolves. I have to say that the characters talk very often about whether things are supposed to happen and whether these things happen no matter what you do, and they talk a lot about fate, and sometimes it gets a little bit repetitive, but overall I really liked the story. I just really fell in love with the characters because most of them are really likable, and the relationship between Hannah, the main character, and her best friend kind of reminded me of the relationship between Nora, the main character in Book Lovers, and her sister Libby. I don't know, it just, in general, this book reminded me of Book Lovers by Evelyn Henry, although the plot is very different. And maybe it was the writing style, or it was the relationships between the characters, but I don't know, I found it kind of similar, even though I shouldn't find, I feel like I shouldn't find this similar, but for some reason it gave me the same vibes. Okay, now it's time for the ranking and rating part. First of all, I have to say, I have now read 5 Taylor Jenkins Reid books, and I've enjoyed every single one of them. I think all of these books are great pieces of literature, and yeah, now I'm going to have to rank these. And I think coming in the last place is Maybe in Another Life, and I kind of feel bad for it because, you know, it's a lovely read. But compared to the other novels I read for this video, it's not as show-stopping. I mean, it's also very different to the other books I read. I mean, it's not set in the world of celebrities or tennis stars or whatever. It deals with, you know, ordinary people. But still, I mean, the concept is interesting, but overall, yeah, as I said, it doesn't really make your jaw drop, I would say, yeah. So, then in third place, so in my head, Malibu Rising and Carrie Soto's Back are battling for 4th and 3rd place at the moment. And I think I'm gonna give the 4th place to Malibu Rising. I enjoyed this book. I like that the book took its time to give every character depth, but I have to say that this is what I also mentioned, that some characters just randomly got a backstory and were mentioned, and I didn't really get why this was the case, and I didn't really care about these characters either. I don't know, at times I thought it was a bit much, a bit too many characters that got too much space in the novel. So then in 3rd place we've got Carrie Soto is Back, which I can't believe I'm saying because, as I said, I don't really care about sports and I don't care at all about tennis. But for some reason, if Taylor Jenkins Reid writes a chapter which basically just deals with a tennis match and with the different moves that players make, even though I don't understand the terminology, it's interesting and I read it and I love it. So yeah, Carrie Soto is Back is in 3rd place. And then we've got the 2 top spots, which are the 2 books I haven't read in this video, but that I already had read before filming this. So we've got The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones and the Six, which I think are also her most popular works. And I think The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo goes in 2nd place for me. I've also got my issues with this book. I've already talked about them, but I think it's still that high in this list for me because this is the book that really makes my jaw drop, that is really show-stopping. It's glamorous, it's gripping, you have this great character of Evelyn Hugo. So it's in 2nd place for me. And then the best Taylor Jenkins Reid book I've read so far is Daisy Jones and the Six. I've also already talked about this book in another video, and yeah, I have to repeat it. I love the vibes, I love that it focuses on a band, so on music, because music is my thing. I love that it kind of has a look of an interview to it, so that the characters are kind of telling the story themselves. So I think, yeah, it's her best book, or the best book by Taylor Jenkins Reid that I've read so far. Yeah, so this is the end of the video. I'm not really sure if I'm happy with this ranking, but anyway, this is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, and have a wonderful week. Bye!